And what's up, City fan? Welcome back to another episode of Top Corner Talk. I don't know if should call it therapy session, but going to start in a much better mood. But for those of you guys and ladies that were at the stadium, Jeremy, Oscar, um, how are you guys feeling? Monday, no blues. How's it going, Oscar?
I mean, hey, we know how to win at home. We were able to celebrate. I mean, yeah, definitely felt good. It was great leaving the stadium happy with a hype we finally got accomplished something. Um, Not just because we won, it was more because there was at least a change. So it was a change of attitude. It was a change of something within the players. So yeah, it was good to see it. Stadium was okay in my opinion.
It was a
It was not.
1:30 game.
It was a hot one. I get it. It was a hot day. Early schedule. I would say vacation for a lot of people. Who knows?
Mhm.
But it was an okay environment. If you say one of our top fan performances comparing to this one, I will go between a 4 and a 5. That would
All
be
right.
my guess.
Right from the capital. So a half, I will take it. Jeremy, how's it going?
It's going well, fellas. Was not at the match. Sad to say, I missed it. I caught bits and pieces on my phone driving through the countryside of Illinois, and then rewatched the game last night. Happy to have a win, but I'm probably going to bring a lot of people down when I say that it's a performance to build on, but not one to brag about.
I would say so myself. I did rewatch the game. I finished it today because I have to be fresh in mind. But yes, I think there's some things that still need to be worked on at this moment. But so I guess the first thing that everybody saw and a lot of people were talking about it's the new coach. So if you were to grade his, we'll say, performance between 0 and 10, um, how are you feeling about his take from the game and his entrance to MLS soccer?
For me, so let's start with the 11, right? The starting lineup came out, and there were some surprises. We have two wing backs. We've got Joey Zielinski, we've got Jay Reed, both starting for the one. So it says he's not afraid to take chances. I like that. We've been begging for some of this change. We saw it. We saw Edu Leuven back, so he's leaning on experience there. Moving Conrad Vollum around. We saw a manager who wasn't afraid to move the pieces around but trust into his players, and it paid off. Again, for me, I think it was a fine job by the manager. He got the win, he got the result. But if Betcher doesn't get the penalty and it ends up being a 1-1 draw after you lead, I don't know if I'd say it was a. It's not a 10 out of a 10. If we get the win, I'll give you an 8. If we would have got the draw, I'd go back to a 6.
Oh wow, you go straight to the point. All right.
Yeah. I agree on the changes. I agree on the change of formation, change of system. Like I say, change of attitude. I don't know if the attitude was because of the coach, like coming from the coach, or it was because we know when they fire a coach, then the players get that fire up instinct of, hey, we're gonna make sure that they keep blaming the bad results to the old coach and not to the players, right? So like that's kind of like where you don't know where to take this change of attitude. Clearly, he brings some energy. Is a different energy. You can see it on the sideline. You can see it on the way that he celebrated every goal. You can see it when the final whistle, how he celebrated as well. Obviously, is the biggest win of his career so far. So obviously, he's gonna take that as a huge accomplishment. But yeah, I agree with Jeremy. We have to put a little bit breaks into all the hype and the celebration. Obviously, it was fun at the moment, feeling that glory. But yes, if you analyze how the game and the performance, obviously the performance wasn't the greatest from all the players either. There was mistakes um, happening on the back. There was mistakes still on the build up. Mistakes made on connecting passes, um, movements. So there's still a lot of work in progress. Though also we cannot judge the coach because he was in charge 2.5 days before a game. So we can't really say, hey, this is just because him. The only thing you can say is the lineup. And if you evaluate him as a lineup, then I would say I will give because he had the courage of change so much. Put in players that they were not trust before, like Zelensky is starting right back, where we know Zelensky was not trust by Olive. Durkin on the back, that I was like, is that really happening? Durkin on the third back. But thinking about it, it's very good because he forces him to stay back and organize. He's a good defender.
Right.
He reads the game well. And if he has more space, he might connect better passes. And you playing as a center back, when you're normally a 6, you realize that you had a lot more space and time to connect your passes because you don't get under pressure that quick.
Yeah.
That was a
Go ahead.
yeah, no, that was a good move on Durkin. And then I mean Reed probably was used more because of necessity. There was nobody else on the left wing if you don't put Reed left back. And then up front, I mean, we keep getting the same. Obviously, Louis was a game changer on what he does as a soccer player, but also what he does to the team as a person. That's just everything knows what Louis has gone through. So, like, seeing him on the field, I think, like, all the players were like, we're giving everything for this guy. So that also helped.
It certainly helps because that's usually what a team that plays well. Sometimes they go around one player and they says, you know, for this person, so they all. But I think one thing that I kind of saw is that us almost going back to our St. Louis DNA, and I think the biggest thing that if you were just watching the game itself and like the players' reaction, there was a lot more chippiness. If you watch like Durkin, for example, you could see him like kind of push the San Jose players and kind of like poking him to try to get into his head. And all the other players around were also doing the same thing. So it looks like he kind of showed, a little bit of we're not just playing soccer; it's also a mental game. And you could see that the San Jose players were complaining a lot to the referees. So that kind of shows you that it was a little bit more of the St. Louis DNA that we're aware of. I think that's the biggest thing as the team overall that kind of jumped it into me. I saw when I saw Durkin in defense, I knew that was even though he's a defensive midfielder, right? So he knows pretty much to defend and know his surroundings to begin with. So being at a center back now, he gets to see a lot more of the field, but also he has the aggressiveness that there's no way in hell someone's going to pass me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the picture of the back line was that they were a lot more aggressive and a lot more athletic as well.
The whole team was way more aggressive. I mean, from the start, we had like a corner kick 40 seconds into the game. I mean, you noticed that 4, 5, 6, 7 guys on the opposition side of the field often in the first half, and it's a really big contrast from what we saw over with Olaf under management, right, where we were always behind the ball in our own half, kind of playing that mid block. That aggressive spirit was really nice to see. From the boys in red on the weekend for sure.
And you could see it on the corner too, right? Like we spoke in the previous shows, right? That in the corner, everybody was in zone defense and they were kind of standing and waiting for the ball to come to them.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was a battle. But if you saw during this game, they was like, grabbing, pushing.
Mhm.
You saw Celia was also talking to that guy, smug to his face, right? That's kind of the mental game they were playing to cover those, pretty much those free kick a lot better than typically. I think the past few games, when there was a corner, it was a 50-50% chance they were going to score. And
Mhm.
these were not
Or at least they were gonna make contact.
right.
And yeah,
A free header, and that did not show during this game. So overall, that was my biggest takeaway of the whole game itself. Was like there was a little bit more aggressiveness, and it looks like he just unleashed them, which was kind of interesting.
I think it's like giving freedom.
Right.
The way that I see it, because you're mentioning like the pressure, and I said it before. Like it seemed like these players are tight on, say, like Deutscher. I mentioned before, like he will go crazy and on the pressing the ball last year, and this year he was just like halfway. And like I didn't really pay attention to what Deutscher did this game, especially he only played 40 something minutes. But I know that in general the team was high pressing more and giving like the full sprint to try to create that mistake. So I think there was like freedom on that end
Mhm.
of go for it. If you leave space behind, like at least we're telling you go for it and try to win it. If we don't win it, well, let's try to go back.
Well, and that you could see that especially in the wide spaces because Zelensky and Reed were both pushed up. I was looking at the passing map earlier. You could really see we had this defined shape. Our wing backs around the midfield or the midline, and then our center backs a little bit more narrow but wave deeper. And that really gave San Jose the chance, if they wanted to. They really didn't exploit it much to play in behind in the wide spaces. But that athleticism that Mo was talking about with Baumgartel and Durkin really did well in the first half, especially to limit San Jose. I don't really recall them doing a whole lot. I think there was one save from Burke, a couple saves from Berkey, maybe one that he tipped over and another one he caught. But no, I really agree. I think we played free, but with the responsibility at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that was
Yeah.
what was exciting, about that game was you actually saw some that wanted to take on, and maybe Reed, and Zelensky had, that they have not played as much, so we all know they wanted to prove something, and you have a brand new coach, so that means it was pretty much carte blanche for all of them to show their worth, to say, yeah, I am worth it of starting, and that was the overall of the game. But um, so let's talk about the first half. Um, I'm sure Jeremy and I will probably have the same view of how that the first 35 minutes of the game started. So, Oscar, let us know how you felt about that first half. Um,
Um, I mean, I liked how we started it. Like the pressure from the beginning, from the get go, was good. Like I said, it was we're not fully changed to a new team. We're not a brand new team. We're not gonna do something extraordinary out of nowhere. Still, our players do lack of confidence on the passing. They still give away too many balls. They still get in bad positionings or things like that. Um, I think one that play very good in favor of us, that adding the pressure to it, it was that San Jose had a heavy rotated team.
yeah,
So that helped where all these players obviously are ones that they've not been playing that many minutes. They do probably lack on confidence too because they're not regular starters. So we could bring the pressure more. That being said, we didn't make them suffer enough. And if we go to the goal, it's not a build-up goal. It's a long ball from Lewin. That is not a bad ball, but it's a 50-50 ball. Then Klaus just makes it on his own because he made a goal out of nowhere. Wins the header, and then that ball backspin to the back of the box. Uh, Klaus reads it very well where he saw that the ball was gonna backspin instead of going to the goalie, and he attacked that ball really quick because nobody was expecting that to happen. So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and I think to that point, with the whole Klaus thing, we also spoke between like multiple times in the show, right? If Klaus at that moment under Olaf, he probably would have been so far back that he would have never had the occasion to do that, to pressure. So that would have been just a clear free kick to the goalkeeper and then clear it back. So that was the other example where it shows that Klaus had a lot more offensive pressure because he didn't have to do the defensive work, even though he
Mm-hmm.
did a few of it. But most of it, he was on his half in being the menace that he has to be. And this is
Yeah,
pure 2023 Klaus, right? He's breathing down the neck of the center back and he's just bouncing on every mistakes. And the
and
goalkeeper has to be on their
he can
best.
finish.
Huh?
Mhm.
He can finish. He reads
Oh,
the
oh
game
yeah.
well. Um, Not every forward attacks that ball the way he attacked that ball after winning the headed.
Yeah.
Like it was when I saw him and he sprayed me because like I was on the couple stand like turning like really looking at that play when I saw he went in the ball and the ball hit and I was like go for it and he just ran to that ball like it was like beat him and he finished perfect like other one tries to flick it he was like no he's gonna just put it underneath it he did very well on that end. I think Ryan's talking about like the possession game. Yes. And that's one of the things I said like we cannot give credit to the coach, and I'm not gonna say the last name because I know I'm gonna mispronounce it. So we just know coach, um, because he says he wants to have meaningful possession, quick passing, quick connections, but meaningful. And we definitely did not do that. We tried some cases, but there was not those type of connections that, for example, with Cornell, we had when Stroud, Lewin, and Gioacchini will play on a one-touch basis and make six passes in small space. We're not doing that, and we're very far away from that. So let's give more time, obviously, to coach and see if he can implement what he wants. That it will be that a quick moving of the ball, but yeah, definitely possession is something that we will need to work hard on.
And Ryan, just to echo FI, this whole Marseille thing reference, it's not acceptable here in this chat. I am a PSG fans. Marseille is our
Look,
arch nemesis. It's the team I hate the
Congratulations, Mo.
most.
yeah, I mean, aren't you supposed to be in a good mood right now? Can we
I
let
am I'm ecstatic. The only one I'm pissed off right now is that I couldn't just get airplane tickets to go to France and celebrate with all. I'm the text and the
Oh,
messages
so you
and the
want to
picture.
go destroy the city?
No, celebrate.
Did
Forget
you see what they did?
that.
I mean,
That's
that's what I do not like about the
no.
European ultras.
They,
That's
I think he just
disgusting.
burned out. So I don't know. And it Usman Dembele told them those dum dums right. Celebrate. Don't break anything. Just celebrate. But alcohol and all of this stuff. You know how those things happens. That's where
It's
the
just like
best of
all.
people comes out.
But anyways, like yeah,
But yes. So
it
yeah,
is awful, unfortunately. But hey, congratulations! Like that has to be so awesome. Like really having a team that you've been followed forever and winning the
20 plus
biggest
years.
tournament. So
Yes, it was worth it. So Ryan, if we want to stay friends, no more Marseille, and there were. But I guess rewind it back to City. And I guess a fun part you did mention that Gioacchini was also at City Energizer Park. Sorry. So he's also a guy that played with Paris FC that was one block away from PSG. So it was interesting to see him play. Maybe he wants to come back to City, but I digress. So I guess so for the other part, because Oscar, you mentioned all of the meaningful passes. So we did see that there were some passes that were either overcooked, undercooked, and just plain mad. Where San Jose probably should have converted those mistakes. So I think Jeremy, your head shaking your head. So I'm sure you have
Oh,
a
I
few.
agree. There were at least two bad giveaways in that first half, and I think that's just a result of us trying to change so much in such a short span of time. You see guys that are like Hartle had a bad giveaway in the 23rd minute. Like he was trying to pass it back to Leuven, who can't get onto it. Buddha gets the ball and gets a great opportunity, but puts it wide. There was at least one other chance like that in the first half too. It was in the 13th minute, but Berkey saved them. So there were some bad moments that if San Jose capitalizes, and they had, I mean, they were rotated, but Buddha was good. Preston Judd for them was really effective early in the game, and Ricketts was giving Zielinski a fit in the first half. So there was a lot of kind of I, as a United fan, I call it squeaky bum moments where you're just like, ooh, you don't know what's going to happen when they get that ball down the flank. But City gets out of it, and I did think City had some moments. They did have a lot of those direct to goal, one pass, long ball moments, but they also had a couple of moments in transition where they had some good build up. There was one play around the 25th minute or 23rd minute, somewhere in that ballpark, where Zielinski got a ball from Leuven out wide on the right and played a really nice through ball to Conrad Vollum down into the right corner. And they couldn't get anything with it. It's kind of what we've always seen the problem with City B, where you get the ball into the final third, but you don't do anything with that possession. And that's what City had of a lot in the first half until we got to the goal.
Yeah, and I think for those, especially Zelensky and Reed, those passes, I think it's probably just repetition, since it was pretty much their first game starting. Maybe the nerves for Zelensky maybe have also done it since it was his first. So I think probably the more they get time with the coach, that probably will show. Because you do see it from CD2, right? You see how aggressive they are on the ball and how the ball is moving as much. I'm just curious to see how, when he implements that with the senior guys,
if it can make it
how
happen.
nice. Yes, because if that's the case, right, we're talking about more freedom for Klaus and Leuven, to do what they do well. It's either distribute or score goals. So I'm definitely interested on that part. So is there, for that half here, is there one player that you have in mind that's like, wow, that was a big player or a big play that deserve another start
I
from those
think
that we.
Klaus. I mean, for me, it was Klaus. Like, it was the most meaningful player in that half. Um, Not just because he scored the goal, but obviously because he scored the goal.
Yeah.
But
He played
it's
defense
just
too.
because he does all that we always said he does that people don't appreciate is like the pressure. Even if he doesn't win the ball, he puts in bad positions the other team. Like, he forces bad passes. He forces 50-50 ball that we could win if we're on our toes and not on our heels. Um, and attitude wise, I just think like his attitude was a lot better than most of the players, and also like it has been better than the year goes by. Like, he used to be that player that got frustrated really quick and he started like shaking his hands and like doing all that. And I feel like he has moved from that a little bit and more to the motivational part and realizing maybe I can do that and help the team while I bust my ass off. Um
Oh, it shows.
the goal celebration, I think all the players have felt the burn that all the
Mhm.
fans are not happy, obviously, because he was kind of like, "Can't
Yep.
hear you." It's like, okay, it's like, it's fine. Like, we'll take it. You perform, we'll go for it. Like, we'll take it. It's all good, and I loved it. I think he very got engaged in that goal. Like, he was facing us all the way down to when he went to the corner, and it was hilarious because I was just like going
Mhm.
all full nuts, but if you watch the replay, I almost like jump out of the cage.
Oh boy, Oscar trying to get himself in trouble. But
No, because of that, I got
yeah,
just so excited. I was like, "Whoa!"
so dangerously, don't enjoy yourself. We need you for the whole season.
Right.
But we have a special surprise because there's someone that's going to be joining us very soon on the stream. He's just setting up his camera at this moment, so he's coming. So I hope you guys are ready. I won't say his name just yet, but he's very vocal. He's on
Charlie Bill,
Twitter.
you?
No, that's somebody outside of our show.
Oh boy.
That's
Okay.
our first fan to join us on this call. So, Oscar, so
So
do you know
one
who
thing
that
that I
might
would
be?
I would say one thing that bad happened and that it keeps hitting us every game after game is injuries.
Yep.
And I think the
How about we save
downside.
that for our special guest? I'm sure he
Okay.
has something to say, and he's in the medical field too. So,
All right.
Okay.
all right. So,
Okay. But yeah,
you ready?
I'm just saying, like, we just get hit by that too. So
Do you see what Jerry just said? Only happy talk, Mo. But I think she meant Oscar because I'm in a great mood. So, I think he's ready. Looks like he's ready. So, you guys ready?
Bring it on.
bring it on.
Who is this
Oh,
guy?
is it Daniel?
Yes,
Oh
it
my
is.
God. What's up,
How's it
Daniel?
going, guys?
Look who it
Hey,
is.
nice
Hey,
shirt.
what's up? How's it going?
Hey,
Going.
we're loving it. And we made sure then that
Mm.
you showed up when CD finally won a game. We want to see a happy Dan.
Okay.
So are
Oh,
we
yes, I'm
being a
happy.
happy one?
Yeah. Yes.
Look at that. So could you tell us a
How's
little
it
bit more
going?
about like how you feeling now after the win, all the weight off your shoulders and
I thought it was a good start with Critchley. I mean, it wasn't a perfect match, and we have a lot to build. We have a lot more to build on, but you just saw a lot more of the attack and the aggressiveness compared to Melberg. So I think it was a good start.
Ed,
I just hope we can build on it and take it to Portland.
yes. And Ryan Dan looks like you have fans because Ryan just say now he can see who's behind the Daniel chats.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh-oh.
I'm just your normal guy.
You're normal, you sure Dan?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
I get a little fired up, but
All right, so
Dan,
Oscar.
go
There you go.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, so Dan, I was going to ask. We were talking a little bit about the transition play, and one thing Oscar was kind of getting towards talking about the injury to Cedric Toykert. He actually stuck out a lot to me before he got hurt. His aggressiveness. Several times he was leading the charge down the pitch. There was a time just before he got hurt, somewhere around the 30th minute or so. He literally went down the field by himself, carrying the ball. Looks like we lost Daniel, maybe, but carrying the ball,
Yes, go ahead.
and was completely alone. He didn't get any support, but it's just one of the, and it led to a Klaus yellow, which was silly. But anyway, but it's still to my point. It was nice to see that energy. I don't recall seeing him move. So I don't want to say passionately, but that's the only thing, because it's just he had a fire in him to just go, and he was going 110 miles an hour, and of course then he goes down with an injury. But I was just curious, as it looks like Daniel might be trying to rejoin us, what your thoughts, Dan, was
yeah.
about Toykert before he got hurt.
I thought he was decent, but I feel like he's still trying to find his groove from the end of last season still. I feel like he just has lost some of his confidence going from how he was at the end of last year to I thought he would really build off that during the beginning of this season. And then Melberg kind of, I think, derailed things with him.
It's fair.
I would say so too. Oscar?
So
Oscar
to be
meet Dan,
honest, like
Dan meet
I
Oscar.
mean, I said I was not able to focus on Torture too much on the movement. I did pay attention a lot about Klaus and how in the second half, like the defense. But in the first half, it didn't call too much my attention. It could be like what you said, like he was doing a lot of sacrifice off the ball
Mhm.
and trying to create something. But
Yeah.
he goes back to being sloppy with the ball. When he gets the ball, he's still too sloppy when he creates bad mistakes or bad passes. And then, like you mentioned that specific play when he forced a yellow for Klaus, probably on that. What I mean, at the end of the day, if you give in the effort, it's fine. But then let's have a torture that can play 90 minutes, please.
Yeah.
That,
But
that's one of my issues because yeah, he's a good player and he
Yeah, I
needs
don't.
minutes and he needs confidence and he needs all that time and options to score goals. But if you're gonna play 40 minutes, you're definitely limiting your times on getting all that. And if you're gonna get hurt, your confidence is gonna go down again.
yeah, the mental
Yeah,
game
I
is
don't know why he can't go 90 minutes yet.
yes. I'm wondering, are there will they take a little bit
Is
of
he hurt
recovering
or?
before from um Melberg before he gets 90 minutes?
That's the $1 million question because he's not the only one. I mean, there's several players that we were used to seeing play 90 week in and week out under Carnell, even under Hackworth, that now are getting rotated. And I know Melberg said he didn't want his players to drop into fourth and fifth gear, right? He wanted them to be able to go all out, and that's why he was subbing Leuven early on in the season. But outside of your back line of Hebert, Yarrow, Baumgartel under Melberg, those are really the only guys that seem to routinely play a full 90. But that's a great point and a great question, and I don't know what we have to do to get our fitness levels up, other than first of all not getting hurt.
It's a very good question.
Yeah. Yeah, Dan.
Yeah,
Anything for that?
me?
Yeah, I thought, the
Oh,
way Melberg wanted to have guys that could go 90 minutes, like nonstop players. I haven't really seen any nonstop players yet since hopefully with Critchley they will be, but I mean, the only 90-minute guys we saw were the back line or Wallum for the most part.
Mm-hmm. So, guys, how much of that is on Melberg, though? Because if you think about this, so there's a night and day contrast between the way the managers have talked about players. Critchley, leading into the match, did nothing but talk about the quality of his team and how much quality the players had and how good they were. After the match, I trust every player on the pitch. That is a stark contrast from what you heard about Melberg, where he was saying, I play the way I play because my players don't have the quality that I need. So my point of saying all of that is this: if you are a player and your coach is out there multiple weeks in a row saying, I don't have quality in my team, do you want to keep in that high gear for 90 minutes, or are you just going to say, okay, it's been 60, 65, and I'm just going to coast from there? And I'm not saying it's on the players, but I'm saying your coach has to motivate you. You have to kind of want to play for the coach, right? Or am I crazy?
No, I think it's all mental game on that part, right? Especially if you called out an entire team or an entire section of either your offense, midfield, or defense, things that you don't have the players, that goes into their mind to begin with, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't see you see some of the big coaches when those that have experience, you will see that they're becoming more the mental part of it, right? You want a player that will run through a wall for you. That's the best soccer player you can have, right? It might not be the most skillful player, it might not be the fastest, but if you always praise a player, it will go a long way. But I think for the whole 90 minutes, is that how he wanted to defend as a team? That means you're pressuring your midfielders that are typically not defensive, and your forward to have the feeling that they have to track back to help, versus when you are being pressuring up, that means Clouds does not have to run the entire field. If he had Melbourne, probably the goal he scored on Saturday would not have happened because he would have been gassed out.
Well,
And he
he
would have
wouldn't
just
be out
stopped.
of position.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be out of position because we didn't have the ball until and at the end of our field. And then it was a pass to Lewin. But in that transition, if it was with Olaf, Klaus was gonna be halfway on the field because the low block.
Yep.
But because he was different, he had a higher he expand the field, spread the defense. We were able to send a long ball into the last third, with a 50-50 ball challenge. One where we were sending those balls were over the defenders and trying to chase it. So that's a huge difference. He only had to challenge one guy and then go towards the ball. So yes, definitely that's positioning with the system was obviously different. I do really hate the part of all of saying he didn't have the players or didn't have the quality. Like, what was the point of him saying that? What was his purpose? Did he really mean it, or it was
Trying to
something
force
lost
the
in
owners.
translation, or he's trying to motivate his players to be those players? Like, I really don't understand, because you have been in charge for 3 months. Well, not even less than 3 months, because he said it really early in the year. You have been in that position. You met your players not a long time ago, and you're already trying to lose them. You don't say that to your players. Or if you're gonna say it in closed doors to maybe try to motivate him. But in an interview, you don't go out and say, "Hey, I don't have the players," because basically you put your players in a bad position, saying they're crap, and also you're excusing yourself, saying, "Well, I don't have the players to play my system, so if I do bad, it's not because of me, it's because of players." So I have no idea what that was the purpose of that. And obviously, a new coach that has no professional record, the first thing he wants to do, and he knows he's smart about it, is I'm gonna create a relationship with our players. I'm gonna create a relationship with them, make sure like they like me, make sure that they see that I'm here to help them, that I want to get the best out of them, and I believe in them. We have good quality. All those words are everybody, even all the fans, got fired up with those words, because they're the right words. Even if he doesn't mean them, or even if at the end of the day he doesn't get to accomplish those, he's smart. He's doing the right thing of saying, we have a good team. I believe in them. We can make this happen. I know I, they have so much quality. I'm impressed. All that, because he's just giving flowers to them and say, "Hey, get that confidence back. Play the way that you guys know, and believe that I can actually help."
Yeah, and before we have Dan come back, so I think one of the things that I saw, in when he also spoke, during the presser, you know, we're all saying the new coach, Phil, but we also have to remember that he's technically not a new coach. He's been there since day one. So he's had the chance to interact with the players away from all the pressure of being the coach. He was known as a coach from the academy, and then a coach of City 2. So, in the hallways, you kind of build that relationship, the players in and out before you know them as a soccer player. And I think that kind of helped him, because he's he's been in the club. He's the DNA of St. Louis, right? He's Lufu's coach, right? So he literally touched the youth all the way up to in St. Louis soccer. So I think it may work for us at this moment, but it also will show a blueprint for the next coach, if it's not him, that says he might have to be my assistant coach, or he might be one that I will have to talk to when I get hired. So then, what is your take on the the atmosphere around Grealish, and how he's managed the players so far. And it's what, less than a week.
I think it was really positive. I mean, you could see all the players. I mean, Klaus and all of them seemed to be a lot more excited and into the match. And after the match, I mean, they were celebrating with Critchley. And I think the vibe was 360 compared to with Olaf. What do you guys think he has to do if he were to get the new, like if he wants the new job, if he wants it permanently? What do you think he has to do to get that job, or do you think he'll even be considered?
Oh, that's a good one.
I would say I
Do you think
don't
there's a
want him
certain
to get
record he has to meet, or yeah?
The thing is, in the situation he is, I would prefer if City doesn't wait until the end of the season to make a choice.
Yep.
And with that being said, he's not going to get enough time to say, I should be the coach. In my opinion,
Yep.
City's not in a position to wait what Melo is just saying, 10 to 11 to 12 games. Like, no, I don't think City's in a position to hold that unless we see the next 3 games a huge change and City is beating up everybody amazingly. Then you say like, okay, well, he's doing something good, right? But if it's a result like it happened this Saturday, that it's just a result because it was not a huge performance, then you'll say no. Like we do need something that it really changed the performance of the teams, not just getting a result in some points, because later on it's gonna bite us again because we're getting a coach that he might not have the experience that others would, managing MLS transfers, managing like the transfer window, the rules, the game, the team, plus knowing how to use the loans on the MLS Next Pro, all that stuff. So if results and change come really fast, maybe he will have a chance to it. But I don't foresee being that, and I hope, in my opinion, and obviously I can be wrong, that City needs something that needs to happen in the next month or so. Because the
By the
next person needs to
transfer
be in
window.
charge for the transfer window.
I might
Yep.
I might be thinking a little bit more different than you, but I, I want to hear Jeremy first.
So, Mo, I am caught in between two minds on this, man. So there's part of me that says I want to make sure we get the hire right. Therefore, I don't want to rush, and I want to take the time. That also would include giving Critch the chance to earn the job. I'm not necessarily saying it has to be the entirety of the rest of the season, but I'm saying you've got to give him time. That's where one half of my brain is. The other half of my brain is where Oscar is, saying, okay, we have what? It is June the 2nd as of today. The summer transfer window opens July 24th. So you have 52 days until the summer transfer window opens. If you have targets in mind and somebody that plays the system you want, can you bring them in and get this team built through the summer window to get set up for success next season? Because no matter what, I think you're going to know what this season's outcome is by the time the transfer window starts. So that's where I'm at. You know, if you look at the schedule, guys, not to get too far into the weeds, we've got Portland away, Galaxy and Orlando at home. Then we have road games against Houston, RSL, another trip to another game against Portland, and then Dallas. That's the schedule before the window opens. There's points there to be had. I'm not going to count on every game, but there's chances to get points, and depending on where you are, there's a chance Critchley might have earned the job. What do you guys think?
Do you want to? My biggest fear is this. So he seems like he is a good coach that he could develop to be a really great coach. But did you want to have this coach not have a say on the transfer window? Because trust me, knowing what our club has done with the transfer windows, they will not ask him what he wants
Mhm.
or what would work good for him. It's more of like what you were mentioning, what Lutz would like according to our system, according to our playing style, and he will bring stuff. Do you want a coach that had no say on the transfer window, and then if things don't go well, then we get another coach, and the next coach is gonna say like, "Well, I didn't build this team. I need other players." So we go to the same thing that Olaf just was giving us, that I don't have the players of my system. I don't. Or do you want a coach before the transfer window that will have a say on the transfers and build a team, not create that excuse, and actually adapt players to a style that the coach wants to implement and get the best of both? Get the best of the players and get the best of the coach. Oh, excuse me.
Hmm. That's. I think I might be a little bit on the left side on that one. Um, I think for me, especially knowing what we saw now from the latest coach that got let go, I think maybe the way it'll probably be more regarding of the style of play that we're going to be playing for the next coming up games versus the result. Because when the streak was happening, it was poor game play and we were losing games, right? And
Yep.
from what you can see, they were talking about going back to their St. Louis DNA. That's why I keep repeating it, right? And what he showed us with a short time is that he has he knows what he wants, and he knows what Lutz, Diego, and Hack know what they want, because he had his hand in the pulse of how the club was built from the beginning. I'm wondering if step one for me is to go back to how we want to play the game, and then that might determine on how well he does, right? Because we all talked about the tactic. Clearly, he understands some of the players and how St. Louis wants to play. He
Yep.
has gone through the process of it. I'm sure he had some say in some, consulted with all the other coaches, because from what I understand, all the coaches from the various levels do talk to each other often. And Hack is usually the one that brings them all together. The other part that Oscar mentioned, where it says that the coach to say, what kind of players he wants, we have to also remember that this is the new age of soccer. A lot of the clubs these days, the coaches do not have as much say on who is getting hired like before, right? Sarah
Mhm.
Ferguson and Wenger, right? When they were the coach, sporting director, scout, head of scouts, right? But now you have sporting director, you have COO, and you have the hack like roles. So I don't know if any coach, unless it's a huge name coach, that can say, yes, I want these guys to come in my team. I don't know if we have that caliber just yet to meet those expectations. So
Well, and
I
doesn't
think we're
Lutz
like,
just
yeah, go ahead.
and doesn't Lutz just say I sign the players and the coach has to coach them? Basically, it's his thinking. He doesn't. I don't know how much he asks his coach what players they want.
I don't
But
know.
that's the issue, I
Not
say.
to spill too much to the beans, but I do know that they do consult with a lot of the coaches and even
So,
outside of them to maybe the last few hires maybe can't really say that much because they're more on his territory and what he knows. But I
well, I know
think,
he said he uses Hackworth as his
yeah,
right hand man and asks him to help with those decisions too.
yeah. So I think the
I mean,
2023 team had a lot of Hack to do, because you can see the players that Hack knows well, the
Yep.
Keels, and those are the guys that he's known since they were teenager. I think maybe the pressure of us not making the playoff the first year and then not starting too well, I think that's where you're starting to see the German kind of influx of big names joining. and then kind of went away from the less known players, but that were the workhorse of the team. Because you cannot tell me in 2023 a lot of those players you guys knew that joined the team, you knew much about them until they played for us.
But it worked a little bit better.
Yes.
And that's what like part of my issue. Like people are saying like, no, and the coach needs to align with the players, the team we have, what we have built. Like it has to be going hand in hand. You can not just pick players because it's your style of play without matching your coach. Because that's what like out of the sudden, like from year one, obviously Cornell didn't have a successful second half of the season. But then you brought the a little bit or pretty much do nothing for the second year, and then they blamed Cornell because he couldn't fix anything. When you just brought, I think our biggest sign was Dwyer and Totland for that, right?
Yeah.
Or
Well, we know
Dewar,
what Dwyer, what
whatever
happened to
you
him.
called Dewar, and so like
Yeah.
you put in so much pressure on that coach now because you're bringing players that they don't match anything that you're trying to do just because you want to. And yes, you're saying the hack has a big connection and decision making on that process, but I think in the past year and a half he has not. I don't see Hack saying, "Yeah, let's bring this Bundesliga 2 players." I don't see it.
Yeah, I think I was wondering if
because
they're like the pressure of winning or something like that, where we're kind of going away from what the team was first.
yeah,
So-
because I mean, you mentioned it. 2023 was a completely different build-up.
Yeah.
So
And I think we kind of shift players that were familiar with the MLS, even though a lot of people may have not liked them as, the guys that were scoring. But, some of the guys that left the Strouts and all that, even though they were not the big time names, but they were familiar with the MLS. They grew up in the MLS. So they were less known, but they were familiar with the league. But now we have a lot of like transplants, right? So instead of having a mixture, we're starting to have a little bit too much of one style and one way of playing. And that's why they kind of showed when you name the roster, you can kind of tell the influence on.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I do.
Go ahead.
I do agree. Like with Mo saying, yes, the era of coaches picking a team is pretty much gone. Yes, but I also know that coaches do have a little push on it. Like it's not like they're picking, bring me this player, give me this player, but at the same time, it's like, hey, let's put the example of City. What are we missing? Technically, we're missing a good 6 and a left back. Especially, they're mentioning obviously Horns leaving.
Yep.
So we'll need those too. So if you have a coach in place, then this coach is gonna say, "I need a player of these qualities for this position," right?
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, your sporting director goes to say, like, "Okay, I'm gonna go look what we can bring and have the choices and go together and pick what's the best." What I see, what I feel that happens in City is that Lutz goes out and someone offers him a player, even if we don't need him in that position. If it's a good deal for him, if it's free, if it's Bundesliga 2, if it's Scandinavian, he goes, yeah, I like that. And I'm not gonna even ask my coach because I don't care if he needs it or not. I'm just gonna bring him. Did we need Torres on last year? I don't think so, but we brought him. Did we need a type of player like Dwyer that lasted a month in the club? I don't think so, but we brought him. So I don't think that's being consulted, and that's my issue.
I think for me, the one thing that I saw with the players that have either moved on or have not wo- worked out as we wanted to, um, one thing that kind of keeps coming up in my mind is that maybe a lot of them have not traveled outside of their home country. Because if you watch, Bloom was homesick, Dyer, he left because he was homesick. You know, some of that environment may not work well for some players. And maybe that's why Dyer I think he made a couple of games and then he was out. But if you watch the Leuven and the Klaus, they've been around and they've traveled far, so they kind of know how to adapt themselves to their new environments. And I think that's why I kind of like to. Sometimes you will hear me say that my preferred soccer team looks like the United Nations, because what you want to see is like a good mixture of different style that you can kind of bring together, so that it kind of gives you a little bit more diversity when you're facing, right? That's why Celio is doing well, because he has a set of skills that not many players have. So that's his advantage. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I agree 100% with you that I don't think it takes a while for these guys to get adapted to the league, and yes, they don't know where they exactly fit in right away, I don't think.
Yeah, and traveling is awful because they all talk about it
Yeah.
still, right?
Yep.
For them, going to Austin is like if they were going from Germany to France, or two or
Yep.
three
Well,
countries.
and that's the
Far.
funny thing. Melberg actually said the traveling wasn't all that bad. He was like, the accommodations are great, the way the league treats him and everything. He actually had nothing but positive stuff to say about the travel.
Well, he has traveled quite a lot himself. Maybe he's
Yeah.
maybe he's built different. Old school center back
No, I
built
mean
different.
Yep.
think he was working in a low budget club. That travel accommodations might not be as professional as you would expect, and comes to an MLS where everything is 5 stars and great flights and everything. Even with the long trips, yeah, he's gonna say, "Oh, this is awesome. I'm traveling. I'm going around the country. I'm spending time in great hotels." Like, I
Yep.
think that's a huge difference
I
because
would
if
love to
Sweden,
know how many of our. I'd love to
go
know
ahead,
how many
Dan.
of our current players he would think would have played for his teams back in Sweden if they
All of
weren't
them.
like the whole quality thing. Like, does he think any of our starters would have played for his teams back there?
I think they would, but I think his biggest difference though is the way he can pick players is totally different than the MLS, right? So the roster that he had was set in stone versus, I think they say they had one of the biggest academy in Europe or maybe the world. So I think he may have been able to pick as much players, from their entire academy to play the way he wants,
Yeah.
versus now he's like, hey, you got your 1922 players. This is who you have. And if you wanted to go from the CD2 or the academy, you will have to go to, 15 gates before you can make them
Yep.
play 5 minutes. So I think maybe it was a culture shock. But I think before we get to the second half, um, Oscar, the thing that you mentioned regarding the coach, being able to pick players, right, to work with the sporting directors and others. I'm wondering how early was Olaf picked to be the coach, and was there in part of those discussions, when you negotiate and all that, did he mention that he needed this type of players to be brought in before we start preseason? Because I know a lot of coaches, before they sign on the dotted line, they have their expectations that also the club has to meet. So
Yeah.
that's the question that we don't know, is like, did he make suggestions to say, this is what I need before preseason start? Or he that was the agreement that he will just have to take the team he has now. But the team that ended the season and the team that was playing now and the team that just played Saturday looks like three different teams altogether. So he only points one person. That is what happened in those few months that you've taken away, where their confidence, their dribble, their freedom that we saw the last few months completely erased in the
Yeah.
next.
And you don't have many new pieces. So when I can't remember when he was hired. I think we already had Timo Baumgartel on in the roster. I believe he was before, like Timo was signed before Olaf. So when he came in, we only did Wallem, and I think that's it.
I'm
And then
bad with
Silva, like last
The-
minute,
So the moves
Right.
that he got were he got Morales,
and Morales.
Silva, Morales and Silva. They bought Betcher's option, Vollum and Baumgartel. Those are the, if you want to call them, 5 moves under the Melberg era. Those are the
But was
ones
it?
that were.
But was it Timo already? I don't think Timo. He was already in there. Like Olaf was not hired before Timo. I think Timo was like, we finished the season and we already like, hey, we got Timo ready.
The club announced the signing of Timo Baumgartel on November 29th. And they announced the hiring of Melberg on November 26th. So 3 days before. So technically Melberg's appointment was 3 days prior to Baumgartel being signed, but
So that decision was
splitting
already
hairs.
made.
So
Yeah.
it was
That
already
was-
made,
yeah.
right? So like that goes to my point. Like you're
Yep.
bringing a coach that you're bringing already a player, and then you bring a coach saying, "Hey, these are the players we're putting to you." Instead of like bring the coach and see would Timo would be a good acquisition for you. He would probably wouldn't say yes because Timo has been shown that he's a good defender and he can adapt to different formations and so on. But it's just the general of that. Like then Wallem and then Silva. I'm not mad that we got Silva, but did we really need Silva at the moment?
Weren't we all saying that we needed more offensive, explosive players? And he kind of answered that question. We say we wanted more Sergio-like players.
Well, we did, but the thing is like Silva. So Silva's best position technically is a left winger.
Okay.
He is. He
Right?
primarily played as a left winger in Atlanta.
Has he played left wing in our team?
No, we play him on the right.
Not 1 minute. Not 1 minute.
Yeah, I wonder
So,
if it's
so do we really need him? No, we needed a right wing
So
or a
Yeah.
6.
maybe they were playing the game where when other teams know what you need, and then that's when they says everything goes up and up. And Silva was not playing as much in Atlanta as well.
So
I mean, we could go on and beat the dead horse, but it's just like we need a Gressel. We need a Gressel.
Oh boy.
Yep.
That was a
But did he
player we
but did
needed.
he want us is the question.
I mean, he wanted Minnesota.
Who knows?
So looking at the just not to get into the weeds, I kind of went back and I pulled up Transfermarkt to just look at all the players we've brought in. So we
You
had
have
no
2 minutes.
no. So Thorson, Totland, Dyer, Durkin, Markanik, Kajima. And then we brought in JGR and Kessler, Silva, Morales, Teukert, Hartle, Betcher, Zelensky, Vollum, Horn, and Baumgartel. You know, of those, I mean, how many of these guys are game-changing players? Thor was Thor.
Yeah.
He was what he was. Totland, Durkin, those two are starters and probably your best 11 in my mind. Teukert and Hartle are starters. Kessler is a starter. The Horn one, here's the question I have. We brought in Horn, I think, prior to Melberg. We brought him in last summer, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just question, because I saw somebody, and I've seen several conversations across different Discords today about, was Giannis Horn brought in to play center back in a 3-back system? Like, was someone thinking last year we wanted to move to a 3-back system, so they started bringing in a guy like Horn who can play left center back? That's where he should play. But because we were always in a back 4 until Melberg changed the system, he was playing left back. And now that we're switching back to a back 4, maybe that's why we're not purchasing him. Is there any conversation or thought on that from you guys?
That we made a mistake?
Yeah, I wonder if Horn was stunned that we didn't sign him at all. I wonder if Horn's like thought he was going to be staying here, because he seemed to enjoy it here and playing with the team.
I don't know. It looks like he enjoyed it. You can see the social media posting and all that. Because let's be honest, he's hanging out with a lot of his friends that he's known for decades. But I think the more we start to see the club start, eyeing him, and we're talking, Champions League, we're talking Conference Cup leagues, right? We're talking teams that will be playing European competitions. And then see this season is not going well whatsoever. And he's in a foreign country. I think it sounded like it was like one thing after the other. And then when the way out, maybe that was the point, or there was money-wise discussions. But I think being the off season, you know how his contract ended on June 1st, right? That's where every European leagues mostly are going on vacation, right? So that means a transfer is the perfect timing. And that's where the teams have their budgets. That's the team that knows who's going to play in what European tournament. That's where they're going to get players. And sometimes we get too attached to loan players. We knew when he was going to. So it's one of those situations where if we were getting a great season, it probably would have enticed him to stay longer.
Well, and the other thing too that Tim brought up in the chat, sorry, real quick, was that we don't know the purchase price. There was speculation online for Giannis Horn that if you purchased his option, you'd have to pay him like max TAM money. And does the club, to your point, Mo, with the budget, want to put TAM level money on a left back? Is his performance worth that much compared to a guy like a Jay Reed who's making a fraction of TAM money, right? That's what I think the pros and cons of that are.
I think it's worth it more than having Nielsen.
Yeah, but I'm wondering but Nelson will probably he's still on contract, so probably his buyout would have been
general,
so
like,
much
you're
expensive.
saying like playing level, like if you're paying Nielsen for not doing anything to play Horn, like I mean, Horn was a good defense. In my opinion, it has been since he was brought in. He has been the best defender, or the best defender on our team.
So what do you think?
And he produced in the attack too. But I also think
I thought it was shocking
that the changing of the two systems, and him was performing better in the 3-back system. I think that influenced a lot of, well, we're gonna change it again. We might not get the best of him. So it might be just that. And it's like, well, if we're not gonna use him as much, or he's not gonna be the best player that we can get out of him, then don't purchase him.
Go ahead, then.
I was shocked I saw where Justin Horniker had posted some kind of stat about Nielsen and some other of the defenders had better, was it assisted XG than Nielsen or than Horn? It was like 0.11, I think.
Really?
He had posted something today about that Nielsen and someone else were higher than Horn when it came to assisted XG.
We'll leave that to Jeremy.
I'm looking it up right now, actually.
But yes, and Oscar, I do understand your point about Nielsen and all that. I think, the play on contract and the play on loan, it's one of those situations where
Which, and I think Horn's a lot better than Nielsen. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't
for the
disagree with
sample
that at
size,
all.
yeah.
I would rather keep Horn over Nielsen 100%.
It's still hurt to saying Nielsen not better than either, especially where
Yep.
it's the injuries that kind of hold it, but
Yep.
it's also questionable when he has not been injured before until he came to St. Louis, and it's very heavy wage
I mean,
for
we can't justify Nielsen anymore. And the hardest thing is like, if you want to make the best decision right now for the club, you will try to sell him and be done with his contract. Who's gonna buy a player like that?
he'll have to
Very,
go back home.
very minimal options.
And he's
I did look
32 or 33? He's up there in age, I think, now, isn't he, Nielsen? Yeah.
Oh,
I did look at the transfer market for Giannis Horn, and he's only valued at 1.5.
Mhm.
mm,
So,
willing to spend
so,
down on
so your stat from Justin Horniker was that Giannis Horn is just 11.11 goals added plus this season, ranking behind Nilsson, Hebert, Baumgartel, and Kessler, and Totland. So he's well
Yeah,
behind
that was
guys.
it.
Yeah, so that is interesting because I had just looked. His expected assists is 1, so he's actually Giannis Horn among all St. Louis City players tied for third in expected assisted goals with 1, tied with Klaus. Your expected assisted goal leaders are Hartle and Leuven. That says something for Leuven too, considering he's played in just 7 games.
Yeah, well, they're the
And
one
who
that
was
should
that
be
other guy you
higher
mentioned?
expectation.
Klaus
Who was
and
it?
Hartle.
that guy.
Hartle.
Who's that? Klaus,
The top 3 are Hartle,
the one that never
Leuven, and
does
Klaus.
anything.
Oh, the one that everybody wants to run out of town. Yeah,
Yeah, he never does anything, right? Like
he's useless. Doesn't do nothing.
right. I'm just making sure you said the right name. So
Oh yeah, good call.
Oh boy, he's that awkward runner. But
That's
so I
fact.
guess so. Before we jump to the second half, because I think we've so Dan. So if you were to grade the first half between 1 and 10, how would you rate that first half performance?
The first half of the season,
Oh, just the game, first half of the game.
the first half,
We won't be so mean to you for the first half of the season.
I would probably give it, I don't know, a 6 or a 7.
Okay, you're not far from Oscar. Not bad.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I thought it was pretty. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad. So I'd say it was pretty. It was on the higher end of average, I would say.
All right.
We showed a lot more than we have in that first half than we did under Olaf. So they showed a lot more energy and attacking, and yeah, I thought it was quite a bit better than his team. So.
So we have to be mid to be able to have any chance of playoffs. So as long as we stay in the 6-7, it's a good start. So
yeah,
I
think we have to be more prolific on finishing. Like obviously we gotta work on creating good chances and then finish those. If that, they will put us into a 7 or 8, maybe a 9 if we accomplish that. The issue with all that is we did not get too much attacking from San Jose that first half, but then we're gonna go and talk in the second half if we gonna see why we were more pressure. We already talked about like San Jose being rotated squad, so second half we'll definitely understand why it changed a little bit.
All right, so we jump in. Well, I guess I don't think we've asked you. So, how did you feel when the old school Klaus scored that goal at the end of the first half?
Oh, I thought it was amazing. He showed. I mean, I've thought he's been one of the better players, if not the best player on our team lately. So I was very happy that he got that header and then beat the defender, which I know the defender didn't really see where the ball went, I guess, but Yeah, just for him to attacking, finally get a good finish on the run was really good. It was a quality finish, I thought.
Yeah. Hey, he wanted it more than the defender and the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
That's
I
why
have no
he's mad.
idea what the goalie was doing, but yeah, it was still a good finish.
Yep. Hey, I think maybe that's why he topoed it instead of passing it, because he saw the goalkeeper maybe rise
Yep.
and was like, so why try to put a hole in the net, just finesse it. So
Yep.
typical Klaus. That's
Hey,
the one we
just
want
a
to see.
shout out to Mello. He's gonna keep the milk ready in the fridge for our friend Charlie.
Man, poor Charlie.
For
He's
another.
doing college stuff. He's
He needs milk over there too. Yeah, I mean,
he's growing. Well, he has his license, so that's the baby steps to.
he can go get milk now. I got it.
So, man, Charlie's not gonna like this one.
Sorry, Charlie.
All right, so second half. Jeremy?
Yes,
What
sir.
was your opinion on that second half? Because there was a little contrast for the first 15 minutes of the second half.
I thought the second half was interesting. We built a lot, it seemed, in the middle of the field, especially through Leuven. The thing that I was really excited to see, at least early in the second half, probably for the first 2/3 of the second half, was Jean de Silva. Jean de Silva, when he was having his really best moments, he was progressive. He was able to win the ball, carry it through the middle of the field, create some dangerous opportunities. He had a shot, I think it was his shot where he shot it from his left foot, blocked by Henry Kessler at one point off of a corner. He created another opportunity for Celio as well. So I thought Jande had some really, really good moments. Another interesting thing before I get to where Jande fell off was Thomas Totland coming in and playing left back. Before he spent time at City, I never knew this until I listened to Flyover earlier in the weekend. He was a left back. So he came in, played at left back to spell Jay Reed. And then when they switched Zelensky out for Volum, Zelensky for Morales, Tots came back to the right, and they moved Volum back to left back. So there's some versatility there. Tots, I thought, looked really, really good as well. Unfortunately, we let up another late goal. Baumgartel kind of gets caught ball watching, and Josef Martinez puts it in the net on a really nice play. Some really nice play there. Maybe I'm wrong, as I see Oscar shaking his head at me, but I think Baumgartel got caught a little flat-footed. And then, then we get the penalty with Betcher, and and Leuven puts it away. But it was an entertaining half at times. But I liked most what I saw from Silva.
Oscar, you were shaking your head. What's that? You're on mute,
You're
by
muted.
the way.
Sorry,
but you were right. Whatever you were saying, you were right.
I don't know. Because of the goal, and Badger team just put it in there. Joseph doing Joseph things. That's what I wanted to talk. Saying that how different it was and why our team still need to develop and get stronger as a team. Because we were playing a heavy rotated San Jose, but the moment Espinoza and Joseph Martinez hit the field, we suffered. And we suffered every single minute of that game since then. I told my wife, I told my good friend Carlos, when they came in, it's like, here we come. Because I know the quality of those two. I know how they change games. And I was just waiting to see that opportunity where Joseph was going to try to sneak something in. Of course, it happened. I'm not 100% sure, Jeremy, if he was flat-footed or not on the defensive side. But that's just an amazing goal from Joseph. Like, that's an amazing run of a predator on the box. It's just, he's a killer. He knows where to be, when to attack the ball, and he did it and executed perfectly.
You're right. The only reason I was critical of Baumgartel, he got caught in the first half like that as well. There was a moment in the first half where he got caught in that same, like a very, very, very similar run, almost in the exact same position, and the ball went wide. I mean and the interesting thing, that equalizer came from, it started with a throw-in. LaRue got the ball back from a throw-in, made a one-touch pass, by the way, to Vitor Costa. He changed the game too. You called out Espinoza and Martinez and LaRue, but Vitor Costa, he also was really, really good. It was his cross that beat Totland, and then literally that's what Martinez got on the end too. It was a really nice play, some really beautiful play by San Jose.
Yeah, hey, at least we
Yeah.
held the high scoring team in MLS with no matter who was
Yep.
in the lineup. So, but yes,
Well, now that you mention all that, like, I didn't realize, but he put every single player that he had on the bench that is normally a starting player, he put him back in the field. So, because just looking at it right now, he put Pellegrino in, he put Costa, he put Martinez, he put Espinosa. So he was like, I'm not losing this game. And clearly that's where we struggle.
Yeah.
Yep.
He brought in fresh legs, first of all, and he brought all the quality legs that he has. So he definitely did very good in there. And I mean, we do win this game not because of virtue of a team effort. It was another solo effort, if you want to touch it. Right now, it's just a solo effort from Betcher that he created that opportunity by himself. And not that he can finish, but at least he created a PK.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was his flowers later, but
it was overloads. Bruce Arena threw everything at the wall, and I mean, unfortunately, I'm just going to be honest. You've got guys like Silva, and I'm even going to throw Celio out there. They're not known as defenders; they're attack first players. So he's going to overload, leaving you, 3, 4, 5 guys that are going to go at a 4-man back line that wasn't getting a lot of help from either of your defensive center mids, whether it was Leuven or whether it was Morales in those moments. And that's where they built up. It was on Silva's side. Silva got beat by Vitor Costa, who's wide open and played that ball across. That's where the move happened.
Yeah, he did mention he had no clue how to prepare for City because he did not know what they're going to do. So I think maybe it was a little bit of that shock as well. And I think that's probably will be interesting when they play again in San Jose, how that's going to end out. But
keep in mind that they didn't have Chicho.
Yes, we don't talk about
he's
that
still
guy.
hurt. Yeah.
Why? There's too many soft spots in there.
He just killed us last year with 3 goals. The wound is still not closed yet.
He has always kill us.
Yeah, so it's good when he comes and doesn't play against us. We're good.
Yep.
But if he decide to come,
I got yelled once because I said, I think when he was free to sign, I said, we need Chicho, bring Chicho, and he was like, no, not that guy. It was like,
why? Because he.
I think everyone was still mad about what he do. He fouled one of our guys last year. Then he hit him.
Yeah, I could care less. I could care less. That's the type of play.
Yep.
That's the type of player you do not want to play against, but you want them in your team.
That's it reminds me of Jared Stroud. Jared Stroud annoyed the crap out of everybody.
Yes, but if he's in your team, you will defend him afterwards.
You love him.
Yes. So what was your thought on the second half then of City? Because I think the first half of the second half was like all San Jose. Because they were
it was all San Jose, and I was glad after they scored that we didn't hang our heads. We kept attacking and we kept going for it. We didn't just quit and be like, "Oh, here we go again. We're just going to end up with a draw." We actually went for the win still.
Yes, exactly. I think that was a huge point of that's how the goal happened. So I guess to give that, so. I guess we can go all the way to the goal to the PK, and who actually created that action. And I guess one of the things that we can always point out, right, is that it was more of an offensive play instead of everybody stay back and then let's try endure the onslaught of attempts.
Hey, one
Yep.
one thing that it's an useless stat, but it did happen again, is that we got score on after Betcher came in.
Poor,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
you know what?
poor Betcher, but it did happen again.
But so I don't mind if somebody score against us when Betcher comes in.
It was a great
Well, as
finish
long as
by
he makes it
Martinez
even.
too. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, I mean, in this case, Betcher doesn't have anything to do with the play.
Yeah.
It's not
It's a
whatsoever. And
coincidence.
most of them, he doesn't have to do anything with it. But it
Yep.
just is such a big coincidence that every time he comes in after a sub for Klaus, we get score on. Like it's unbelievable. I was just like thinking, it's like,
Yep.
why happens to him or what happens to the team when he comes in? Like it's not even his fault of most of the time or any of the times per se, but
Yep.
it just happened again. But
I think
hey,
it's their
Yeah.
style of
he
play.
made something happen, so I was very happy for him and very happy that
Mhm.
for the team for that.
I think it's mostly the mentality that's the difference, right? Klaus has the mentality that
Yep.
he's willing to go all the way back to pick up the ball, where Betcher
Mhm.
is a true striker. He's going to stay in his
Yep.
pocket. He's going to stay up top. Maybe sometime I think I saw him in the he played some defense, the corner kicks. He was in the box, but primarily he was staying in his space because he knows what he's capable of. And that's
Yeah.
where we almost lose a midfielder because Klaus is no longer there. And that's
So
where the play opens.
So I just want to walk through that sequence that led to the
Uh-oh.
penalty because it's because I think there's pieces of that play that don't get enough appreciation because we're all focused on what happened in the other box. Okay,
Right.
that play started when Baumgartel made a defensive stop near the end line. He made a stop with his left foot
Mhm.
to kill the ball, keeping it in bounds. Plays it forward to Pompeu, who one touches it almost back to Vollum, who
Yep.
springs Betcher on the long ball. That's how we get there. And then Betcher is tenacious, attacks the ball, wins the ball because he's one-on-one with a defender. And then it's that moment. It's almost the opposite of what happened in the first goal. The Klaus goal, Edwards stayed back on his line, didn't come out. This one, he's not as indecisive, but he makes the wrong choice and ends up taking Betcher down for the penalty. But you've got to recognize, I think, in that moment, the Baumgartel stop, because if that goes out on the end line, maybe it's a goal kick, maybe it's a corner, but he has the awareness to keep the ball in play where only he can get to it because he's boxed the defender out. He finds Pompeu, and just those are those really nice, clean transition moments that this team can sometimes execute well. And I was really, really happy to see that in that moment, not just because of the penalty, just because it's something we can build on.
Yep.
Yeah, and go ahead. Do you have something there?
Oh no, I agree 100%. Yeah, that transition was really good, and we just need to keep building on that.
I real quick, I do want to go back before the penalty. There were two moments around the 86th and 87th minutes. Well, I talked about how good Silva was. I want to just talk about a couple of really frustrating moments because I think the conversation that we have to have about Silva is, are we willing as fans to accept the moments of frustration if everything else pays off? Meaning, like because in the 86th minute, there's a transition of play where Marcel Hartl finds Jean De Silva in the box with a one-on-one opportunity. He takes a too big of a touch, loses the ball, first he's actually at midfield. There's two. There was a midfield giveaway first where I think it was Totland makes a play, finds him one-on-one on the near side at midfield. He has a one-on-one. If he wins the one-on-one, there's acres of space to run into. Yeah. He loses it there, and then we have to go back and quickly get into defensive shape. That was in the 86th minute, and then about 30 seconds later, it's that attacking move where Hartl finds him in the box. He takes too big of a touch in another one-on-one opportunity, and he ends up taking too big of a touch and then just dives. A terrible looking dive, mind you. But that's my point, though. I want to give him his flowers for what I loved in that half, but I also have to be critical and ask that question as fans, because we've asked for weeks about asking to see this attacking, forward-thinking football. Are we willing to accept these moments of frustration from a guy like Silva, or even Pompeo if it was on the other foot? Are we willing to accept those things?
I'll let you answer that one first, then.
Yeah, I think we can accept it just because hopefully he'll learn from it and grow from it, and just when he gets more comfortable playing this system, that he won't make these mistakes in the future. So hopefully he'll just learn from it and just move on and just become a better player with us.
Yeah, and for me, I think it almost looks like sharpness, right?
Yep.
The more game he gets to play, the more comfortable he gets playing, and that's where you kind of get your dribble and that confidence for the one-on-one, right? I think one-on-one pretty much is 110% confidence, where you're going to take on that player and you're going to beat him no matter what. And I think that's those two things are kind of missing. You can see from the dribble, right, when he was kind of moving his body, that he was trying to do it. It's just that his mind, his body, and his feet were not in sync just yet. So I'm waiting for like that kind of click, that's when he gonna pause problem. Because if we all remember, Joey Kinney was doing type of this playing, right, where he was kind of had that flair, but then when somebody kind of touched him, he may sometimes fall easily, and you could hear fans kind of criticize that. But on the other hand, now you see when he's gone, some people are asking, hey, is he coming back? Because you have to think about it. As a striker, it's either you're going to dribble past a player, or you're going to score, or you're going to find an opportunity to create another opportunity for your teammates. A PK does not happen when somebody tackles you so hard and you stumble yourself, and then you keep your footing and you stay up. That won't be a PK. But if you fall, Oscar, what happens? It becomes a PK. But some of the fans, when they see that, they were like,
it flop, can call it everything, but you're creating stuff.
Exactly. So that's the one I always defend when people are like, oh, he's flop. I was like, first, he's a striker. So he knows that when he's in the box, and you watch some of those great players, right? It's not a hard fall, but when they feel someone on there touching them, or a foot touches them, it falls. Guess what? It becomes a PK. Who's going to criticize your teammate getting a PK? You only get criticized when it's not a PK. So I think Xander is just getting that sync with his body and confidence. And
for Sunday, it's game fitness is the one that is lacking. Obviously, he hasn't had enough minutes consistently to say he will get that game fitness. If you give him a full 90 minutes, I think he will get into that fluid movements when he can dribble, and what you're saying, Mo, that his mind and his body is actually doing the same thing at the same time. The other thing is the connection with his teammates. So like the bonding type, like connections, being in the same page, because I still feel that he wants to do something and expects his teammate to do something, and they do it. They don't do it. So they're running to the wrong space, or they're running on one space, and Silva was expecting the other one. And I think that involves into he made very poor decisions twice or three times this past game. One was like he tried to take a shot when he didn't really have an angle, and he had actually like two teammates open in the middle. I think it's part of that, and he also, because he's a forward, what forwards like to do?
Score goals.
Score goals.
Yep, score goals. Yep.
He's very anxious of, I want to get my first goal going. So I think like that was like one of his poor decisions, was like, he saw a gap to take a shot and he took it. It was a poor decision, but at least he's thinking on that way, like, I'm hungry for a goal. I want to score. I want it to get going.
And it's only a poor decision when it's not in the net.
Right.
Because when it
Yeah,
happens,
if
you're a
he-
genius.
if he gets it
Yeah,
right, it can be an amazing goal, and then everybody's like, "Oh, that was amazing. That was
Yeah.
the best."
it's one of
decision
those
you could
fine
ever
lines
have."
where it's like, you shoot it, you miss it, you bozo, and then you shoot it, and it goes on frame. You're a genius. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Ah.
Well, it's the Celio banger from a couple weeks ago, right?
Yes.
If that's not a goal, what are we saying?
Yeah.
But it did go in, and we all went crazy.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I said the example. Who was this center back from City? That's Cola Banger.
We have 5 or 6
not
of them.
not our City.
Okay.
Man City.
Oh.
Man City. Company. Vincent
Oh,
Company.
legend.
Do you guys remember
Oh,
that
yeah.
goal where it was
Yeah.
like 10 yards away from the box, and he decides to take a shot, and even like his teammates, you can see him say, no shoot, and he just goes wham.
And he's the captain. No.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh.
at the end, it's like, oh, I told you to shoot. See, you should.
Yep.
Yep.
And Dan, I want to go back to something you said, because I think Critchley said something after the game that speaks to your point. So you mentioned the fact that we didn't drop our heads after they got the
Yeah.
equalizer. Critch, and his quote after the game, he said, yes, they equalized, gave us a little bit of adversity. It's okay. We're changing things around here. We don't sit back in those moments. We go and try to win a football game. And that's what we've done here. That's what is deserving of the 3 points today. And I think it just speaks to the mentality of this coach and that they're and what they're trying to build in this team, because he even said belief is a word that we're going to have around here after the game as well. So he's really trying to turn this culture around after that 11 game, 77 day winless
Oh
drought.
God.
Who was counting? It sounds
77 days. Unreal.
Charlie, that was Charlie's opening line in his article on YouTube Media. I'll attribute that properly. 77 days.
That's
unreal.
That was a lot of sad City fans.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a lot of time that I was depressed. Jeez.
You come on, Oscar. You cannot fool us. You were not that depressed that long.
Look at his face. Clip that.
You're a Liverpool
I've
fan.
been
Come on,
depressed for
let's
2
be honest.
years.
You're a Liverpool fan. You cannot tell us you were sad that long.
I mean, I am a Liverpool fan, but I don't take it too hard. Like, I love that Liverpool wins. I celebrate when Liverpool wins, but it doesn't change my mood in the day. To be honest, like I'm not that fan, because my teams are Independiente Santa Fe in Colombia,
Okay.
the national team of Colombia, and City. Those are the 3 that my heart feels it. And when something bad, like yesterday, for example, my team in Colombia lost the classic match, the rival match. That made me mad, and I was very upset last night. So that's the thing. Like I'm not that into it. Like I celebrate Liverpool, but I don't go crazy. It was like others, like they think there is their team. Like no, I have my 2 teams. Liverpool is not one of them.
All
man.
right. I guess we set proper expectations.
I'm not a fair weather fan.
I'm just hoping that Ryan doesn't go where I think he would go in the chat yet. I'm trying to avoid that for a 3rd straight week.
Oh boy. Hey, Ryan, we're waiting for that one. Well,
because if anybody gets to be depressed around here about footy, it's me, because
yeah, because you should be, because you're the only your team gave a trophy to another team that shouldn't have it.
15th in the Prem and a trophy to a team on the wrong side of town.
Oh man, my team got relegated in Leicester City, so I guess we're keeping Rude is still going to be the coach, I guess.
Really?
I didn't want to say it then. You brought it up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Up the Foxes. Hopefully they can.
And Vardy's leaving, so yeah.
So I guess
I mean, it's different for you guys, like in general, like, and you guys say it, like people from the United States, because it's like you have your team in the MLS, and if you didn't have a team in the MLS, like most of St. Louis people until now, then you have to pick a team, right? Like you have to like follow something, and you really get passionate about like the Premier League, then you pick a team. Or if you're very
Yep.
passionate about La Liga, you pick a team on there. But like
Yep.
for us foreign people that grew up in following one team, and that's the one that I grew up. I followed my Santa Fe team since I was 5, so that's my team. My dad was a Santa
Yeah.
Fe fan, so that's our team. Just growing up, obviously that's not gonna go away, and I start liking other teams because the way they play. But I could tell, like, I follow Liverpool because I like Liverpool, but I
Yep.
also follow Bayern Munich. I used to follow Real Madrid. I used to follow Juventus because I like them because they're good. They're good teams, and I don't know. I like the colors earlier or whatever it is. But the
See, I
day
like
that
Celtic and the
Liverpool
hoops.
loses,
I always love the hoops with Celtic.
So
yeah,
Jeremy, so that means Oscar cannot make fun of us anymore
yes, I can.
because Liverpool it's down the list.
I can make fun of you guys because you guys cry a lot about it.
I don't cry about it. My team wins.
Yeah. Oh, your Chelsea team, you don't cry about it.
Hey, we won a trophy, right?
What,
Hey,
the
does the
consolation trophy?
hey does the All-Star trophy United just won in Malaysia count? Can I put that?
Dude, you lost against the under 23 All-Star
I don't.
team.
Shh.
I
Didn't
love
happen.
I love the parade that they did in the bus.
Don't even.
I didn't even know they won. All I remember is that they
embarrassed.
lost against the All-Star U23 of Asia.
Yeah,
Lost
they did.
1-0. So I don't know.
Hey,
But
they're very good, no?
You know what?
under 23.
Hey, didn't City just win a game? I think that's more fun to talk about.
I guess we're going back. So I guess
God.
as we're I guess going back to City, giving Betcher his flowers, right? Because as we head towards the end of the game, he took 2 players on before he got into the box. I don't know if with the previous regime, if he would have had that opportunity to actually have the mindset of, yes, there's these
Going.
2 guys
Yep.
there. They're bigger, taller than me, but I don't care, and I'm still going to run through it. And it was almost like the same as Klaus, right? That ball is mine. I don't care who's around. I will find a spot on the net. And him not trying to just shoot it when he saw the goalkeeper coming out,
Yep.
but he had the instinct of like, no, I am going to draw the PK or I'm going to score.
Yep.
I think that said a lot about his mentality and why CD and Lutz and all that actually signed him, because they knew that he had it in him, and maybe it was just not the situation at the moment that allowed them strikers to actually be strikers.
I also think that Betcher said, I tried to score 3 times. I just hit it straight to the goalkeeper's leg or hand. So I'm not going to take a shot, and I'm just going to try to go around it.
Oh my.
Hey, you know what? Right? 1, 2, 3. It's the charm, right? And then after that, he gave CD fans, I guess, the best closure possible, right? If there's one player in City that you actually wanted to score a goal and celebrate with him, then Leuven was the player that got the opportunity to do it. So first, I guess for Dan, since he's our guest here, how was like first to see that Leuven was taking the PK and then the aftermath of that?
Yeah, I thought it was great. As much as everything that he's been through this year with his wife and everything, and the way he played with City too last week, and he just keeps battling and just gives his all when he's out there. He truly deserves that.
Yeah, Jeremy?
So when I saw, I was glad to see that it was Leuven. I think that if he showed a remarkable ability with all that's been going on in his life off of the field to just have a moment to take that breath and have the composure to just slot that in the corner. It was a really well taken penalty. And then just to see the celebration, and not only from Leuven, but Klaus sprinted from the bench to the corner flag. The way the team celebrated that moment with what the man that at one point was the at least vice captain of this team, it just spoke volumes about Leuven, what he means to the club, what he means to the city, and it's a special moment for that man, and one that I'm glad he got to have at home in front of our fans.
Oscar?
I mean, it's great that he was in the field still for that. We know he's the penalty taker no matter what. So that's one. And then getting the reward that he deserves in that end. It just makes it a lot better, makes the win better, makes the celebration better. One thing we did not mention, obviously, but if you were not in the stadium, is when the lineup was announced. Obviously, the biggest roar in the stadium was Leuven when they say his name. So fans recognized that. Hopefully, everybody felt that in the field as well. But yes, it was definitely recognized that he deserved a good moment and through all these tough moments. So hopefully they can keep it going. Hopefully he can continue play. But like we always say, is life is more important than soccer. So if anything, it just needs to take care of that. But if he's gonna be around and he's gonna be playing and he can perform the way that he performed, by all means, bring it on.
Yeah, well,
Do you guys think he travels to Portland, or do you think he only does the home matches, or if he's available?
I'm thinking if he's available, he will travel still, and I don't think at that point like he will just stop and just be one side person. I think if you're into it, you're into it, and you're gonna go for it, and that's what I think. If you are not on board to do all the traveling, you might not take the spots for players that they are in it for the all.
Yeah, and I think it was nice gesture, and I'm still mad. Like, of course, they have to score, and that's the section where I sit when I'm not in the press box. So, of course, they had to do a celebration when I'm not in the stadium. But maybe it's just my pettiness on that part. But now the streak ending, the losing streak ends. We finally have a win. We have goals. We've held the team that scored the most goal in MLS, even though it was heavily switched. But that doesn't matter. You only can beat the team that's put in front of you. And clearly we saw other teams that were not doing so well, and it still beat us. So the way I see it is that there was 11 other guys that are professional soccer players as well. So they know how to win games. And City found a way to win it. And like Dan said, they didn't put their heads down. They went all the way to the last whistle of the referee. So that's pretty much all we can ask from those guys, right? Is that as long as their performance show us, what they got, the result sometimes can be massaged depending on the performance. But if it's poor performance and a loss, it's totally different when it was a good performance, but the other team was just better at that moment. So in closure, so just for the game itself, because we're gonna talk Club World Cup and maybe the ass whooping that happened not long ago in the CONCACAF. So just to close out the city games, anything else you guys want to go on here? And for our guest, then that was gracious to come and join us today. Any closure?
I will mention.
Yes.
I will mention. There's a comment there. Matt Jones said that he would have loved to see the players really celebrating with the fans after the game. I think that's still lacking a little bit. They did do their cheer
For
and
cheers.
all, but at the same time, it feels, and I'm gonna sound a broken record, but it's really feels like last thought. Like everything is just like for us is, especially with the supporter section, like it's just the last thing. Whatever we get away with it and don't. Like if you look at the pictures, and I know the supporter section was not a full capacity on Saturday. The entire stadium was not a full capacity, but I just dislike that they go and do that after 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes after the game's over. That the stands are already empty. Like there's maybe
Hmm.
10% of the people are staying. So what is the purpose of just going and doing it to a 10% full capacity stands?
Yep.
I don't see why do not go after the whistle, do the thing, make us do the St. Louis song, try to do like I'm not saying let's copy what Minnesota has, but yes, let's do what Minnesota does when they win a game. They put up they end of the whistle, they let the players shake hands and such, and then they blast the song that they celebrate with.
Yep.
So everybody in the stand stays because it's like, oh, what's happening, right? Like we all singing, they stay. You do your thing on the support sections, and then you go and move on your life and do whatever you want with your family, with your kids, with the other people. But at least have where the moment where everything was full. That just like it keeps going. To my point, it's just like be more appreciated in that end and do it faster. Like you don't have to do an extra thing. You just come early so you can actually see the entire full stadium or the full supporter sections in it, not 20 people.
It'll be a great picture for MLS to show.
Well, I mean,
Yep.
you see it in so many other stadiums. I mean, whether it's in Columbus where they're singing the "I Can't Help Falling in Love with Crew," or in
Yep.
Minnesota where they sing Wonderwall at the final whistle.
Yep.
There's moments that could really shine an even brighter light on St. Louis that we're missing out on, and Oscar's right on the money.
Yep.
Mo, I know you mentioned Club World Cup and stuff, and giving Dan a chance to have his say on City. Are we going to talk Portland at all, or are we moving
Sure.
off of City?
Well, no. Let's talk Portland for a
Well,
little bit.
well. The one thing we didn't chat yet and mention is Wallum got his 2 yellows for time wasting, so he does not make
Yeah.
the trip to Portland.
I was trying not to bring that up.
So if you, but you have, but the reason why I bring it up is if let's just hypothetical, you're down Wallum now. Let's say Leuven can't travel. Who's in your midfield? Is it Durkin and Morales? If Durkin can't play a full 90, are you gonna pull up somebody from City too? I mean, I think that's the reason I bring up the Portland stuff, and we can talk matchup all you want, but I start there because to me that from Vollum, that's just terrible absent-mindedness. I don't know what because he had literally gotten booked for time wasting cheaply, probably 3 minutes before. And then he goes and blatantly does it again.
I don't think that second yellow was deserved one. I look at the replay and it's a very bang in scenario where he was there and he just like kind of like moved out of the way, but at the same time like hit the ball. I wish, and we've seen it. Maybe MLS could decline that second yellow and say like, "Hey, we're bringing this back like it shouldn't be." Because I don't think it was like that much time waste. And at the end of the day, like that ball was there. The other ball was like right next to it, so they even played. They could play fast, but they I don't know. I don't think it was deserved. But if it's not gonna be available, then yes, we go back into problems in the sixth. Good that at least Alfredo is back. Durkin could be an option if he's adding up on the minutes, so it could be something. And see who could play in the back or having the new coach could bring up the the six in City 2 that has been performing well. Like now we have options because now we know that
Yeah.
this coach is not gonna say, "Oh, I don't like this kid."
Yep.
We have the coach that he does like the kids, so it could be
And yeah,
more.
and he's been
options.
around, so
Yeah.
he has coached those kids, right? So he knows them on the daily basis. He
Yep.
was in training camp with all of them, right? So that's why
Yep.
I try to keep away from like saying the new coach because it's an internal hire for the time being. Um, it's almost the hack equivalent, just without the MLS experience because
Yep.
he's a day one guy. So yeah, so then do you have anything regarding Portland itself?
I don't know. They're pretty. I mean, they have always given us kind of a hard time, either at City Park or at Providence Park. I mean, I think the first year we beat them. Did we beat them twice in our first year? And then last year they beat us in St. Louis and in Portland, I think. Or no, we tied
No,
in
they tied
Portland,
Portland,
4
we
to 4.
Yeah.
tied. We should have won that game. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a nice
When
Yeah.
game.
Evander
Yeah.
came in and just destroyed us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so they look like very different,
Yeah.
and they don't have Evan there because now he's in Cincy. So I guess
Yep.
it'll be interesting to see how City travels to Portland and how well they can take that newfound energy and
Yeah, and
translate.
playing on
translate
the
that.
Astro turf they've got is hard to prepare for.
So do we see a Berkey still play? Right? Hopefully.
Yeah.
So I mean, we only played
Hey.
twice over there. We tied 4-4 and we won 2-1. That it was the first year. So
Has Berkey played at
it's funny
Providence?
because
Did he
we
play at
performed
Providence
better
Park?
over there.
That's a good
Did he
question.
play at
Better
Providence
over there.
Park in the first year?
Yeah, we both
Yeah.
of them were over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that game. We won with a hero header.
Yeah. Yep.
That nobody was expecting that. But it
Yep.
obviously was one of those five wins run at the beginning of the season. That everything was
Yep.
going well for City. The last one was last year, the 4-4
We should have
that
won.
we were winning up to the 64 minute. We were 4-2, and then it was
Evan
4-3, and then
Evan.
4-4 with the 90 plus 9.
90
Yeah.
plus 9.
But yeah, Mo, you mentioned it, a very different looking team. Portland right now, they're 2-2-1 in their last 5 with wins over Sporting and Colorado. They drew
Yep.
RSL and Seattle and then lost to Orlando. At home, they're 4-3-1, scoring 13 goals, allowing 11. Looking at Portland by the numbers a little bit, 16th in possession, so they're not going to dominate. They're about 50% possession on the season. They don't generate a ton of shots or a ton of goals. They're 20th in shots per 90. They are 20th in expected goals. They are 16th in goals scored. Their leading goal scorer and contributor is Anthony. He's taken the place of Evander. He's got 10 goal contributions with 5 goals, 5 assists. Felipe Mora has 7 goal contributions with 5 goals and 2 assists. And then Kevin Kelsey's got 5 goals. And on the flip side, City, we are 1-1-3 in our last 5. And on the road, we're just 1-2-5. So not great on the road. I mentioned their leading scorer. Our leading scorer probably won't play. We haven't got an update on Cedric Toyshirt yet, but Toykert left the game early after going down following a clearance in the box. He's City's leading goal scorer with 3 on the season. Marcel Hartl, Edu Leuven, and João Klaus all tied with 2 goals. So depending on that, you could see Toykert and Leuven, two of the top 4 guys for City in terms of goal contributions on the season, not making the trip.
Yeah.
And it was a non-contact injury, which is worse when
Mm-hmm.
when those things happen.
Definitely not
Yeah.
playing.
Yes, it never good. But yeah, Oscar, what you gonna say
I'm
something?
a little scared. I mean, with Portland, they do not score that many goals, but they also don't concede that many. Um, the last two, the ones that they lost, the last two, they lost 1-0. They won 2-1. They tied 1-1. They tied 0-0. So it's gonna be a tight game, no matter what. And what I'm a little scared is like they do have speed because their players on the top, they're very quick. They're all quick.
Yep.
Mora, Anthony, Da Costa, Moreno, they're all very quick and
Yep.
So transition is gonna be very important.
well, transition and like on the dribble insights, like on the skill wise, the moves to take on one-on-ones, they're dangerous. Like
Yep.
Moreno and Anthony, they're very creative players where they can take one-on-one situations, and depending who we got in our defense could be dangerous.
All right, so hopefully Durkin is top of his game.
Do you guys think Totland starts on Sunday?
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, it depends. He played 45. No, he didn't. He did not play 45. Tess played 45. So yeah, no, probably not a start. I think he might play the second half.
You know. Yeah.
All right, so I guess-
Does Kess start though? Sorry, Mo. Does Kessler start? You think? He played 45. If he's healthy, I think you start him. Let him go 60.
Yeah.
I guess
Depends
physio
of
will
who
assess.
we need on the sixth position, because if we have Lewin and let's say Alfredo, for example, then if Durkin can play on the center back, then they'll probably not force him. But if we do need to put Durkin on the six, then we will need a center back. They might do that. So
And this is a Sunday game, by the way, just to remember, because I didn't realize it until earlier. It's a Sunday night at 6:00 game. So is it technically Sunday night soccer then? I guess.
yes,
Okay.
Because specific. Yeah.
yep.
Yes.
It is the main Sunday night soccer.
So we're gonna hear people complaining about why is St. Louis playing on Sunday night football when
You know what? It's
Right.
fine. At least it's not a 10:00 game or something on a Sunday night.
Yeah. I guess we'll get Taylor Twellman on Sunday.
I'd
Most
presume it's
likely.
going to be probably Jake Zubin, and
Yeah.
Twellman, I think. Yeah.
All right, so be kind. But yes, so I guess that pretty much covers St. Louis' latest game versus San Jose, finally breaking that losing streak, and something to celebrate about. And we saw the pictures, Energizer Park, PK, just the sound you could hear that everybody was letting everything out, screaming and celebrating, and went home happy, which has not happened a lot. So I think
Well, let's not say everybody, but yeah,
Oscar. Oh my goodness. Okay. 99.99999% of the people were happy.
75%.
Okay.
Is it satisfied or happy? That's the question. There's a difference. We're satisfied with the win, but are we happy?
Okay, satisfied.
Oh, I'm not complaining about that. I'm saying like the chanting part.
Oh,
well, that's your world. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
But
we just get to enjoy it.
I'll tell you, it was rough.
Was it your fault?
No.
Well,
I'll tell you that, and I'll call our fan base, and if anybody wants to have an argument with me, that but what the supporter section, and we all think that we're the best fans in the MLS. But I'll tell you that I wish our supporter section had the engagement that LAFC has.
You're trying to get us in trouble, don't you?
No, I want people to realize that they need to stop saying we're the ones that were the loudest, we're the ones that were the best. It's not because of the ones that want to be there because of chanting and doing, don't do it because we do, and they all do. Is that all the fans that they just find the cheap ticket to go and they just occupy a place in the supporter section that don't want to do that. And I had so many eye rolls, laughs, make people making fun of me when I was in the Capo stand when I'm trying to get them like to sing, chant, move because they just think they're better than us, that they're just there and they just like to look at their phones, they just like to chat with their neighbor. And I'm like, you're not here for that. This is the supporter section. You're not there for that. And I'm not trying to crowd control. I'm not trying to tell who's better fan than anybody. No. But if you're in that place, do what you're supposed to do. If you don't want to do it, don't look at me weird. Go find another spot. I'm not telling you don't go to the stadium, but go find another spot. You're in the wrong place.
Yeah, and I'm sure that kind of messes up with your flow because you're trying to hype everybody, and then you see that or someone watching their phones. I'm sure
Oh,
it's
it
not.
was awful.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not the only one, right? We've all had
No,
maybe
no.
do presentations, and when you see someone, not paying attention to what you're doing or saying, I totally understand. And you guys do put a lot of work, so yeah, I think that's not a hot take. I think
It's just a little reflection for everybody. Like, just don't really think of that. And if you really go to the supporter section and you are one of those that don't chant and sing, maybe reflect a little bit and say like, well, maybe I should be doing, or maybe because that was the season ticket you got and you were not prepared for that, then I get it.
Yep.
Let's try to get on the hype, or like at least help. We have the chant of left and right, or we have the one that we also move our hands and jump,
Mhm.
but nobody participates. Like there's
Mhm.
only like the 119 section participates, and then some like they try to move but they don't move. And if we do want to create that and be great at it, we need everybody that goes there to be willing to do it. And that's why I put the example of LAFC. I know they've been doing it for a while more than us, but the engagement on that supporter sections is awesome.
Yeah, you
It's
went to the
I went
high
to the
up.
high. I
Yeah.
went to the high because I do look at them and everything that they do and the chance that they bring. Like I really like everything, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not that I love LAFC team or anything. No, I even like I don't like them because they always beat us. But but their supporter section is one that you can take a look and reflect on what should be doing, as especially with all the rules with MLS. Like they can do it, then we can do it too. Like that's kind of like my perspective. If I look into something else, obviously I'll go to Argentina engagement because Argentinian fans are out of this world, and that's just something different. But it can be done if you want to really commit to it. So it's just that I wanted to say.
I think it's fair. I think that's
Yep.
that's that's the nice thing that we have with this group here, right? We all have we're all in our separate sections of the stadium
Yep.
as well. So it kind of show you the reflection. So we do brag about you guys a lot. So it certainly helps. And yeah, LAFC is like the blueprint. And
Oh yeah.
we'll kind of give Cincinnati as well, and Charlotte. You can see that atmosphere that they create in our sports section. We're still on the infant side, so maybe those generations of people that will grow up too, and then the Oscar kids will start influencing the other kids, and then before you know it, you'll have the entire supporter section and the South End will then follow up and find its way around the stadium.
Sounds
All right,
good.
so any final words, Dan?
I don't think so. I just hope we come out with the same kind of energy on Sunday and just put on a good showing again. Like Fritzley said, they want to entertain and play aggressive style, so hopefully they come out on the road and do the same thing.
Hey, that's all we can ask for. But so I guess the one last thing. So Oscar did say he's going to watch some of the Club World Cup.
Yeah. I actually am going to see Boca, Boca,
Yeah, he went
Boca.
all the way up. I'm still
No,
working on
yeah,
mine.
that's one of it has been one of my dreams. Watched Boca Juniors since I was a kid. I always wanted to go to La Bombonera and watch a game over there, but obviously it has been evasive for me. And I saw him coming to the US and coming to an affordable place, not because it's Miami, it's just because I have family and friends that I can stay nearby. So that's why it's affordable. Um, so we're taking our vacation this year over there. So unfortunately I'll be missing the next two home games for that vacation. But at the same time, I'm gonna love my time because one thing that I've been seeing is that Boca Juniors fans have purchased the most tickets for the FIFA World Club Cup. So um, we're gonna have a full experience of what La Doce and the supporter section of the Argentinian Boca Juniors is. So I'm very excited. So,
Oh, I'm jealous. I'm still trying to figure out where PhD will be going, so I can then find my way there too. Because that's what I have to do. But Jeremy, then do you guys any plans, hopes?
Let me
I'm
ask you
gonna
guys.
watch it. I'm not going, but I'll be watching it.
Yeah, I won't be going probably, but I guess my question for you guys is I'm just kind of looking through the field of who's all in it. A lot of big names, a lot of big clubs. Um, I don't. I think if I remember right, Seattle is in one of the groups of death. So my question
Yeah.
is, with so your MLS clubs that are in this are Seattle, LAFC, Inter Miami, and is that it?
I think that's it since Vancouver lost.
Yeah, now that Vancouver dropped out, so which that was that's a terrible performance. I cannot believe how bad they got wrecked by um Cruz Azul.
Cruz
By the
Azul,
way,
yeah.
Cruz Azul had like 3 or 4 former MLS guys, by the way. So
And one of
Yeah,
them scored.
Bogus was
Bogus
Bogus.
scored.
Scored.
Yes. Bogus scored. Yes.
yeah, which is crazy, just crazy. And I think if I remember right, didn't no, he came back from Vasquez, who's now in Austin. He was in Liga MX last year.
Yeah.
Monterey.
Was
Yep.
he was he at Monterey?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, my question that I was trying to get to before I sidetracked myself, guys, what does an MLS team have to reasonably do in this tournament to give any kind of credibility to the MLS? Or is that just a wash and you just go and play and hope something happens?
Win one game. Each team be one game or be close enough to be like competitive ish to
Yeah.
show some of the level. But if we're looking at 3, 4, 5 zeros,
Yeah.
then welcome to the World Cup where people will be raising a lot of eyebrows.
So, all right. So just your groups that have an MLS team. So group A is where Inter Miami is. They've got Palmeiras, Porto, Al Ali, and Inter Miami.
Yeah.
Seattle might as well not make the trip. I'm sorry. They're playing against.
Yeah.
They've got PSG, Atletico Madrid, and Botafogo. And then LAFC's got Flamenco, Chelsea, and I'm gonna butcher this, Esperance de Tunisi. So I'm butchering that. I apologize to any fans of that club. I don't.
Experience de Tunis. Yeah.
But yeah. So thank you, Mo. So I don't know. It's just hard to see an MLS team making a deep run with group pairings of that quality.
I think Miami
I
might
don't
have a
think
chance
Inter
to win
can do.
one.
I think Inter's defense is going to let them down. I think they're going to get beat. I don't think they'll make it out of the group stage.
None of them will make it to a group stage.
no,
Yeah.
Inter will unless something marvelous happen,
Well,
but Inter will beat Al Ali. That's
Not
one I'm
not too
thinking.
fast. I
No,
don't know.
I'm not saying like like is a wash, but I'm saying I
It might
think
be
they
close.
can.
That's it.
So
But that's it. I
Well-
think there's no other possible win.
isn't there a special transfer window before the Club World Cup for those teams?
They're supposed to
Yeah.
get 10 days or something, like a 10-day transfer window.
That's why you see all those crazy remorse, for Ronaldo and
Yeah.
all of these temporary solutions. It'll be interesting to see what player is loaned for the Club World Cup. And
Yeah.
if,
So how
even
much-
if Ronaldo is can't count.
How much money do the players get to win? Because I saw where Seattle had those cash grabs. Did you see the shirts they
Yeah.
were wearing yesterday?
Yes, and I think that's the interesting part that's going to happen is that since MLS is holding the purse for like all the clubs within MLS. So I think that's who probably won't be getting as much money unless you're probably Miami and Messi. But I think they're getting probably screwed a lot more than the other European club where they might be compensated a lot more. But I think some of the people say is that the winning team probably is going to take home $100 million. So they're saying that a lot of the EPL teams that have like FFP issues, if they make a run to this tournament, well, it would literally wash every debt that they have for the upcoming season. And that means that a lot of them will be spending a lot more money because now they can break even or even profit. So now just imagine the MLS teams having to face clubs that will most likely have their entire squad or their best squad coming in. PSG is talking about
Who win
having
that
their
money.
best players coming in
Yeah.
and their young players.
So
So it's like MLS, y'all better spend some money. For that tournament.
your stages, just talking payouts. If you win in the group stage, you get two. These are in US dollar figures. So a win in the group stage is worth $2 million. Just winning. A draw is worth $1 million. If you make it into the round of 16, you get $7.5 million. A quarterfinal win is $13.25 million. Semifinal is $21 million. A finalist appearance gets you 30, and if you win it, you get 40 on top of that.
And all the extra wins you get on top
plus, that's on top of just your participation money.
Yeah.
Because depending on your continent of qualification, if you are in North, Central America, or the Caribbean, you're getting $9.55 million for playing. If you are from Europe, you're getting between 12.8 and $38.2 million. So there is significant money. They said the total prize pool for the 32 participating clubs is equal to $1 billion with a B US dollars.
Wow.
For how many weeks?
I have not looked at the schedule yet. That's
7
a great
weeks.
question.
I think they say it's 7 weeks.
Is it?
Yeah.
So they're saying there's teams that could make their entire budget and then some in 7 weeks if they play right.
So June 14th and the final is being played in New York on July the 13th.
Yeah, like that's
It's a month.
Yeah.
That's crazy money.
And and some of these teams too, just speaking from the MLS, and you talk about fixture congestion, some of these guys are going to be dealing with Leagues Cup too around this time, I think, or starting to getting ready for, right?
They might as well just pause all of that.
At the end
Makes
of
no sense.
July, and then it goes to August, I believe. But
yeah.
Hey Mo, so if you want to go to see PSG, you gotta go to Rose Bowl in California or Lumen Field in Seattle.
I think Seattle might be the closest I'll probably be able to do because I can crash people's places. Some Seattle players I could crash at their houses. We won't.
Bell?
Somebody's got connections.
Rose Bowl, I don't know. That's a lot of money right there.
What, you can't stay in the house with Bonga?
If that
Come
was
on,
the case,
Mo.
I would not be sitting over here talking to y'all. What are you talking about?
That's fair. Lude, your boy Olivier can't hook you up? What? Come on now.
He's way too high on. He does not even. Probably the close. He probably knows the Musa, but that's probably because France has hundreds and
Many.
millions. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yes. So how excited are you guys about having? Like we're talking the best of the best clubs, players in the U.S.
Yep.
continent, and do you think that's going to help grow the sport? Before,
Yes, but I'm also a little disappointed at to this point that like that's coming up in 2 weeks,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
And we don't see much of advertising, promotion, tap scenario, especially on the cities like us that we are not hosting any of the games. But it should be something that is it should be used as a way to engage fans, creating like the FIFA Fan Fest that they normally do in cities where they're not hosting or things
did
like
you
that.
not
So
fill out the survey?
I did.
There was a mid-year survey. I'm pretty sure there was question in there regarding how you
Yeah,
want City to kind of be involved in that.
but I'm talking about more like the FIFA in general, those FIFA Fan
Yeah.
Fests that they make, like the huge FIFA
Yeah,
Fan
they
Fest
pick
that
the
they
big
make in
cities
cities.
for that, fortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a big city, no?
It's a missed opportunity to continue building hype for next year's World Cup, because that was the whole thing, right? After the last World Cup, it was USA needs to capitalize. You have the Club World Cup in 2025, you have the Men's World Cup in 26, and then 2 years
The
later, I
Women's
think in
World
28 is the
Cup and
Women's
all
World
that.
Cup.
Yeah.
So like it's supposed to be a big time. You would think there would be more marketing around it from the global level. But my question for you guys, though, let me just ask it this way: does it hurt MLS? Because if you have your teams go get embarrassed on this level, is it a bad look for the MLS, and does it hurt the growth of the league to get fans interested in it? Because if you're not a fan today and you say,
Mhm.
"Oh, I'm from my Miami area and I have a little interest in this," and then I go and I watch us get wrecked by Al Ali or somebody else, is that going
Yep.
to kill my interest in the club, and is that going to hurt the sport in the long run?
Dan, go ahead.
That's. I would hope it wouldn't kill the growth in the league because I mean these clubs have been. I mean we're still a pretty young league and still growing, but I mean if they go out and don't show up like Vancouver did last night, and all get crushed and stuff. I mean I can see people being like, what's going on in our league. They need the money. I mean, how tight the budgets and everything, not letting us spend money is. I just don't know how you're going to compete with these teams if we never start. I mean, we're still young, but we need to start opening up the purse strings, I think.
I don't see it will hurt. I mean, first of all, I don't see the MLS teams getting crushed. They all three teams that they'll play, they do have some sort of international experience, some sort of not just because they have played Coca Champions, or obviously because that's where they are there, not Inter, but um because that's a special guess basically, but because they do have players that they have been in Europe with experience that knows what it takes to play these type of tournaments. So I don't think it would hurt even if they lose every game, in the way that is still showing they're gonna show character. I think none of them they're gonna be like beat off, or unless like PSG gets a fantastic magic night like they did against Inter, then nobody stops them, right? Um, and I'm calling Inter the Champions League final, not Inter Miami. And I just the sport's growing, and if you like your team and you like the MLS, like we're start learning to love in St. Louis, I don't think it's gonna matter what they do or not do in that point. So it's what it's going to do for the MLS in general is gonna tell them, hey, you gotta start opening more your rules, because if you do want to compete against the world, you can't have this monopoly money and
Yep.
limited teams to not hold good players.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think for me, it's that part where you have the people that are already following your club, and there's some that aren't. So for the teams that are international, that opens a new market for them to promote, but that also shows the fans that there's an interest from like European teams and from across the world to come here. So they will start investing more into the sports itself by way of their clubs, right? So they create more fans, even though they will be, from a team across the pond. But then there will always be that question. It's like, so now that I'm following this team that's over there, what do I have next here? And then
Yep.
that's when that kind of opened the question. And that's the nice thing when we have the Tom and all that doing all of that crazy traveling that starting to show up. He says, hey, it's nice to have the team there, but I have a pride to follow my own team. And then that's where it kind of trickled down to very top and then goes down to who do I have, who do I support. That's the way I
How
see
loud
it.
is it?
Yeah. And the
How
pressure
loud is it?
will be on the
Huh?
boards
Yeah.
for me. He's like, if they are as competitive as they are and they have the winning mentality, all the ownership when it goes and see it, oh snap, we just got whooped.
Yep.
Yes, we have clubs in the MLS that were in that list of the highest values. But if you just got whooped, now it doesn't matter if you're the top 5 most valuable soccer team on the planet, it doesn't mean anything because
You're not
and
being
don't forget,
competitive.
yes, and don't forget,
Yep.
PSG was created in '76, so it's not like it's 110, 130 years old. It's
Yep.
just the culture that bring it up to what it
Yeah.
is, and hopefully that's what those clubs will bring. And like you say, right, all the Argentine from Boca Junior bringing that culture into the U.S. and they show that there's tens of thousands or 20,000 people that are literally following their team from a different country moving. You have not seen that just yet. You've seen, a little bit of Mexico in that, but following your national team and following your team like Boca Junior or PSG, where we followed them for 30, 40 years, you'll go anywhere to follow them. And that will even take more fans than the national team. Hopefully, the US has the infrastructure ready for the influx
Right.
of fans they
That's
have.
one of the things that concerns me is that, I mean, if ultras and barras bravas are gonna travel and all that, like I hope like everything's prepared to stop all the nonsense that obviously comes with soccer, comes with football, but it shouldn't. Like those nonsense, like hopefully like can be controlled. It really it happened in Copa America with all those crazy things between the ticket sales and the entrance in the final from Argentina and Colombia. All that happened, like it was obviously not ideal. These ones are gonna be a little more hardcore because they're actually the fans, like you say, Mo, that there have been since they were two. They have been fans for that team, so they follow, they travel, they are crazy about it, and so
But
it's
I'm
gonna
glad I'm
definitely be
glad
a
FIFA
great
is
atmosphere.
oh
But hopefully, it's something that they are prepared, that as security, as FIFA organization, everything, and that's where I was going from with my FanFest stuff is that like St. Louis is not gonna have a game for the World Cup next year, but fans want to follow I would expect to have at least a fun fest with a giant screen
I hope
and
so.
activities and things, and
Mhm.
like to have people to go and gather. If you cannot travel to see the games, like, because that's also makes it cool. Like it's
Yep.
just not just like, hey, you still part of the United States World Cup, Mexico and Canada, but you're still participating. You still have to the live events, DJs, whatever it matters to be. I mean, obviously, I'm assuming we all gonna try to travel to one of the games at least when next year comes around. But I mean, it's not gonna be easy. So
George.
Yep.
But I think as long
Well,
I
hopefully
think
we'll.
every stadium should have literally every stadium that's not hosting a game should have their stadium open for their fans to watch it on the big screen. We know Kansas City have the Power District and all the city market that will have it. It will make no sense if every single stadium, every city have something because hey, if your city that has a bad budget and they want to make money, you know what? Host a fan fest and you will see your surplus will happen
Mhm.
because of the World Cup.
right,
Oh, sorry, Dan, you were saying something?
I would think too that St. Louis will hopefully be like a host city for some of these countries and they'll practice at City Park. And I don't know if they would fly over to KC for their game, but I would think some country will want to set up camp in St. Louis.
I
I
would
think
be
I
surprised if
think we
there's one that
are.
isn't.
Yeah.
I
We
think we
are.
are. I think when everything was setting up, I think the SLU was evaluated as a campus for one of the teams, or like at least to be able to host. So I think we are a city that will host a national team or two. Um,
Hope you
but I
fly
mean,
over.
there's not much neutral other than Kansas City. I mean,
Yeah.
because Chicago
Yeah.
wasn't picked, so it's either Kansas City or that's it. Like that, it will be like the neutral spot.
Well, we're
But
the gateway of the West, right? So we're
Yeah.
pretty much centered. And we could be one
Yep.
of those flyover, right? And we have great facilities, training facilities, and all that. So I think it's just a matter of time of either one that has a complete base here, or is one of those flyover. If you play to Kansas City, quick fly, what is going to take you
yeah,
an hour flying versus.
Mm.
Yep.
So
Now I saw where St. Louis is a possibility for the Women's World Cup in 2031. I think someone posted that today that we're in the running for
that would be
being a
awesome.
site for the Women's World Cup.
Yeah.
I'm 100% for it.
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
definitely in there. Every game in City Park for a World Cup, I'll be in there.
Oh, I think I
Um,
will be seeing familiar faces on there.
yeah.
But yes, so but I
Um,
think
You,
yeah, sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
oh, I was going to say one more thing. You guys were talking about like the let's see how the security is. Isn't the Gold Cup going to be going on when the Club World Cup's going on here?
Ooh, that's a good
Uh,
question.
let me look at the
I
Gold Cup
believe so.
dates.
Because I
Yeah,
think
because
the
I think
Gold Cup
there's
starts on.
Yeah. It's the same time, June 14th through July 6th are the Gold Cup dates with the semifinal in St. Louis.
yeah. So I do. But the good thing about the Club World Cup, it's a FIFA ran tournament. So
Mhm.
FIFA is the one organizing and working with all of the all the authorities and stuff. So their FIFA, they know what they're doing. It's not like it's CONCACAF worrying about those. So I
Yeah.
think these guys know what they are to do. Maybe CONCACAF and the Gold Cup might throw a wrench, but yeah, FIFA don't play around when it comes to security. So Oscar, behave.
Hey, there's many, many, many worse people than me.
Oh yes, but St. Louis runs your flag, so that's. But with that say, I'm Dan. Thank you very much for joining today's episode. It was fun to have our very first guest to jump in. So, those of you in the chat, don't be shy. You know how to reach out to any of us. So, if you want to come and join, kick it with us for an hour, half, 30 seconds, be our guest, come hang out. We're just a whole bunch of guys talking soccer, sprinkle up with a
And
Yep,
little
I
bit of
nonsense.
stats
appreciate it. Yep.
and hot topics.
All right. So before we go, what's the score for Portland?
5-0. No. Hey, for our guests, then let us know
Yeah.
how you feel.
I think I'm going to go 2-1 City.
Jeremy?
Man, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take 1-1 draw.
All right. Oscar?
He took my score. I was gonna say 1-1.
Sure. You know what?
I would. I mean, yeah. Hey, I got it right for the last game. I put it on my app and everything. 2-1.
We'll see.
They better be sending me the shirt soon.
Well, you see how he didn't say, I hope they send me. He said, they better send me a shirt.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I would say I still would 1-1. I think the lack of scoring from both sides, I think it's just gonna be that. Just 1-1. 1-1.
2-0 City. You heard it. It's recorded.
Yep.
Okay. Mo is,
You heard
as
it from
always,
Mo.
Mo is the optimist.
I'm just saying. Hey, no, I'm not. See what this Matt Jones just said? He picked 2-1 in the last 100 games, and the one game he picked right 3-0, and it doesn't happen. So I guess we'll have to ask the other Jeremy, like who's the closest
Oh yeah.
the percentage of having the right answer, because we need to talk to that person. Maybe they need to be more on the positive side so we can win more games. But that's just me.
Yeah, I only got it right once this year. Definitely.
I think I maybe have 2 times. But with that say, we're almost past the 2.5 hour. Then again, thank you for joining us, and we're
Yep,
looking
thank
forward
you.
to see the next person to join.
Yep.
Wasn't so bad, Jeremy, Oscar. As always, thank you for
Yeah.
your time in coming and talk soccer with all of us. And
Yep.
Charlie, hopefully he gets to his dream college with his bottle of milk on his side, and we'll go from there. With that say, go City, and we'll see you guys on next Monday.